Hello, fellow fantasy sports junkies. We're here on MFSN. I'm Dan Ratner, and I am here only with Ross the Boss.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss, and I'm very excited to talk to you about baseball waiver wire moves you can make this week, cowboy. I changed up a little bit for you, Dan. Just
I,
because
I
it's you and
appreciate it. You got to shake it up sometimes. And meanwhile,
I.
it's just me and you here. Last week, we had Vlad to the Bone, Casey Scheinvold, and Joe Prano here, and half of our team was destroyed in the war. I don't know what happened, but here we are. It's just the two of us. So, Ross, that means more talking time from me and you. Let's remind everybody out there, we're talking Yahoo 60% and below in rostership. So if they're over 60%, you're probably not going to hear about it. Maybe if they're fringe, we might mention them. So the other thing is, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we will answer you personally. Okay, Ross, we're going to start with catchers, and I'm going to start off with you, cowboy.
So before we get started, I want to wish a happy birthday. Usually you don't do this, but this guy was like my childhood hero growing up. And I can't believe he turned 80 years old today. It's Pete Rose, the all-time hit leader, who's not in the Hall of Fame, which pisses me off. But Pete Rose, happy birthday. I can't believe you're 80. Makes me feel old. I remember I was just a kid when I was watching you playing, Pete. Unbelievable. But happy birthday. Let's talk about catchers.
All right, let's talk about catchers. But happy birthday, Pete Rose. And I love that haircut. That was like a Dorothy Hamill, according to Tina Fey on 30 Rock. Okay.
Yes, I wanted to get that haircut, but my parents wouldn't let me.
I know,
so the first guy is leading the league in home runs, and he's like 30% owned in the league is Wilson Ramos. He's the starting catcher for your Detroit Tigers. He's been killing the ball. I mean, he's hitting like in the 200, somewhere in like 250, 260, but he's been like 11 RBIs, 6 home runs. He's been destroying the ball. So if you need a home run hitter, I don't know if he'll keep it up, but still he's playing every day almost. So it's a good pickup. Why don't you say one? I don't want to give all I want to leave you something. So tell me who you like in catchers.
Okay, well, here's a guy that's kind of a little under the radar is Carson Kelly.
He's been another guy, like you said, Carson Kelly, ripping the cover off the ball. Unbelievable.
And you know, he was a high prospect when he came up with the Cardinals. So this happens all the time. Guys don't figure it out for a while. This is going to be a theme of the show when we get to other positions. Carson Kelly, he may be figuring it out now. He's always had the talent. I think what you want to look for in a catcher is somebody who's just not going to hurt you in average. And that's why I always liked Wilson Ramos. His average is not going to be terrible. I don't expect him to be on pace to hit 134 home runs like he is now, but hey, he's a great pickup.
Carson Kelly is hitting 429. I don't know if he may hit 400 this year. I don't know. Maybe he'll be the first catcher ever to hit over 400. What do you think?
I think there's not a chance in hell. I think he could hit 300, but probably not. He's going to hit about 273 is my guess.
273. Okay. Write that down, everybody.
Now let's just bat it back and forth. Your turn. You give one, then I'll give one.
Omar Narvaez of the Milwaukee Brewers, 423, 2 home runs, been killing the ball. Unbelievable. I mean, the catcher position this year, I thought there were only like 5 or 6 good catcher hitters. Now there's like 15. I mean, the catcher position right now there's plenty of people you can pick up that are killing the ball. So that all being said, if you don't have a good catcher on your team, it's a good time to pick it up.
It's true. Although you got to remember the bottom could just fall out on like all catchers. Suddenly you could have like 3 catchers who are hitting well. So here's another guy you could add. I mentioned him last week, Dalton Varsho. He is in the minors right now, but he qualifies at outfield and he basically wouldn't be playing at catcher. So if he comes up and he's playing every day, if this guy hits 240 with decent production, he's actually a great catcher because he'll be playing all the time. All right, Ross, who else do we have before we move on?
I mean, I know Barnhart's been killing the ball. He's not going to keep it up.
I don't trust him.
I don't trust him at all. He's not a good hitter in history. I don't think it's a good idea if you want to pick him up for streaming reasons, maybe for a week and just see what he can do. But he's not going to be hitting over 250 this year. But if you need a catcher for a week, pick him up.
Yeah, I agree. If you're really, really desperate, you could go with a guy like Roberto Perez for a little bit, but I don't like it. You know, I think you're better off finding a guy who has some track record. Barnhart is another guy. He doesn't have that track record. Okay, let's go to first base. Now, Ross, should we talk about a trade that you made? I think we should.
Sure.
There were 2 big first basemen involved.
Oh, it was a monster trade, which I enjoy. I traded away Bogarts, the shortstop for the Boston Red Sox, who's having a really good year, and Freddie Freeman, who was the National League MVP last year, for Mookie Betts and Goldschmidt, the starting first baseman for St. Louis. I just think Betts will get you stolen bases. He'll do more things for you. And I love Goldschmidt, as I said, beginning of the season with that potent St. Louis lineup. But I think it's a pretty even trade. I wasn't like crazy uneven.
Yeah,
What do
but
you
you
think,
did
Dan?
you did get the best player in the deal, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I
Mookie
think so
Betts.
too.
All right, I'll start us off at first base this
Great.
time. So there's lots of guys you could pick up that have upside of various kinds, but a guy that I have really liked is Jeimer Candelario.
He was my first in my list. He's my first name. I couldn't
Nice.
pronounce his name, so I wanted you to say it. But good
Well, there you
job.
go. I saved your bacon there. He is playing in Detroit. He qualifies at third base also, which is an added bonus. But he's hit for good average, and he was a decent prospect when he first came up, and he has really always performed. So he's got the track record. Now, you said he was first on your list. So who's second on your list?
I mean, and also just to go back to him real quick, he has 41 at bats, which is really good. He hasn't missed a game the whole year, and I think he's batting 293. But he's a guy that's going to hit 20, 25 home runs and play every day. And if you need a first baseman, you want that guy to play every day. So it's a good pickup. My next guy is, I mean, again, first base for me was pretty weak, but this guy can play second base, first base, third base. He plays for your Pittsburgh Pirates. I put him at first base just because I needed first baseman. Is Colin Moran?
Colin Moran.
Colin Moran. He's hitting 297, 2 home runs. He can steal bases. Again, he could play at multiple positions. But for me, he's like the only other first baseman that's under 60% that I would say, hey, I'd like to pick this guy up. Everybody else is just kind of first base is tough. There's not much stuff to choose from this year.
Now, for you fans out there, I'm smiling inside because when I hear somebody say, oh, there's nobody else, and I know there is, that makes me very excited. Jesus Aguilar.
Florida Marlin.
He is Florida Marlin. He was a monster 2 years ago, and he's actually been very, very solid otherwise. Now, if you've got 3 first basemen, I wouldn't pick him up because you don't have anywhere to play him. But he's pretty high on the list. When I look at this list of first basemen that are under 60% owned, the 2 guys that jump out at me are Jesus Aguilar and Jeimer Candelario. It sounds like I just like Hispanic names, but it just so happens. In the meantime, Joey Votto's out there too. Do you want to take a chance on him?
No, Joey Votto
Why?
His last year is his contract. He's not hitting for average. He had 2 home runs in 2 games, but he strikes out so much now, and it's not a good pickup right now. There's better players. I'd rather have Aguilar. There's a bunch of guys I'd rather have before Joey Votto.
No, I would too. Pickup. And also there's 2 young guys that I'm going to mention. Andrew Vaughn and Bobby Dalbec. These guys, they're young. They're not performing yet.
Dalbec got a horrible start. He got his first hit a couple nights ago, but
scoop him up.
Again, Andrew Vaughn, I mean, they haven't proved anything to me yet, so I got to wait on those 2, but we'll keep an eye on those guys.
I'm going to give you one more, and then we'll move on to second base. This guy is constantly on the waiver wire, so I'm not saying he's the greatest or anything, but you've got a couple of split stat guys. Jock Peterson, who we've seen interviewed before ourselves. He is a split stat guy. He hits righties like crazy, but he's terrible against lefties, and he's not even that good against righties for average, but he's going to hit like 35 home runs against righties. He's somebody I'd think of. Brandon Belt is a guy like him, but he can also hit for average. He's not going to be great, but you play him against right-handers. If you're desperate, I like those guys.
But both those guys are batting under 200 right now, so if you want to pick them up and maybe stash them.
Yeah, I wouldn't play him right now.
No, I wouldn't play him, but if you want to stash those 2 guys, they're not going to hit 200. They'll hit at least 250, 260, 270 this year. So it's actually a pretty good pickup if you need a first baseman.
Okay, now we're going to go to second base, and I'm going to let you go first, Ross.
I mean, this guy, San Francisco Giant, this guy's been killing the ball. I mean, I watched him play the past couple nights. Donovan Solano, he's just been on fire. He's hitting like 323. He has a couple home runs. He can steal bases. He can play multiple positions. I mean, he's my number 1 pickup for second baseman right now. I just feel he's playing great baseball.
Wow, that's interesting. So I would actually, first of all, I would pick up Colin Moran as a second baseman before I would pick up Solano, because Solano doesn't hit for power. We've seen him for a while. Now, people can develop power, you can argue with me, but I got a couple other guys. You got a guy, if you want stolen bases, I like John Birdie. or Jonathan Villar. Neither of them are playing enough right now, but injuries are going to mount, and these players are going to be useful. Another good guy is Jurickson Profar. He's got outfield eligibility, plays on the Padres. He's also going to steal some bases. I'm not in love with any of these guys. They're not even actually at the top of my second base list. So I'm gonna wait to reveal that, but I don't want to hog all the airtime.
Luis Arez, is that how you say it, Dan? He's hitting 323. He can play second base, third base. He can even play shortstop. But Luis Arez, I think I said it right.
I think it's Arias.
Arias. I like. He's been playing great baseball. He's been consistent. The last one, again, another guy that can play second base, third base, shortstop is Joey Wendell of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. He's batting 310. He's a utility guy. He plays all over the place, but the coach loves him. He'll play him probably 6 days a week, and he'll steal bases, and he'll probably around 300. So he's a pretty good pickup if you need like a utility guy to fill in when somebody has an injury. It's a good guy to pick up.
How about this guy? This is a guy you picked up, Jed Lowry. The guy is destroying the ball.
I like the A's. I said this. I feel their team, they have a lot of great hitters. They have no pitching really, but they have great hitting. He's been in the league for a while. He's a great hitter. He can hit home runs too. I like him a lot.
He's a guy that you could end up cutting at some point, but Jed Lowry always goes on huge hot streaks, playing for the hot streak. I still like Ha-Seong Kim of San Diego. He's batting 143, I think, right now.
What is he? Does he play second base? What position does he play?
He's second base and shortstop. But
they have a pretty good shortstop. Well, I guess he's hurt. But I mean, they have a pretty good like infield already. I don't know where I guess he plays second base.
They do, but you got to remember, there's going to be injuries. There's always room for a guy like that to play. He's going to
I like him a lot. I agree with you. I just worry about playing time, but if he plays every day, that's great.
Yep. I'll mention one more before we move on, unless you've got somebody first.
Go ahead.
All right. Cesar Hernandez of my Cleveland Indians. I know he's batting 158, but baseball is a game. It's the long game. Cesar Hernandez never bats 158. That's not what he's going to do. He's going to bat over 270, and he's going to put up decent numbers. You've also got Jonathan Shoup out there, another Detroit player. He's a power guy.
Under 200 right now. I mean, all these guys.
But this is why they're available.
They're available. If you want to wait, great. I mean, hopefully you don't need somebody immediately and can.
No. Listen, that's a good point Ross is making. So for you guys out there watching, you got to think about this. You don't want to stash your whole team like this. I'm just saying, back end of your roster, pick up guys that weren't playing well, and you scoop them up knowing that they're going to have value. Eduardo Escobar is a guy that I scooped up. I think he's over 60% owned, so he's not relevant to this show.
No, but he's been hitting home runs like it's a style. He's unbelievable. I've been watching him.
He started to, and I had picked him up before it happened. That's what you need to do with these. Okay, let's do third base, Ross. Who do you got?
Well, he's the cover of our show today. It's Kyle Seager. It's Corey Seager's brother, older brother, plays for your Seattle Mariners. He's sitting I think 383 or two. He has 2 home runs, 10 RBIs already. I mean, he's been killing the ball in Seattle. And I don't know if he'll hit over 300 this year, but it doesn't matter. If you need a third baseman, he's probably one of my top pickups for the week. He's been killing the ball, especially under pressure.
He is my number one pickup of the week, actually, of any hitter. And
there you go. Number one for Dr. Dan Ratner.
That's right. You heard it here first.
Seager.
You were likely to hear it first because it came from me. So, but yes, Kyle Seager, he's always going to hit for power. His average is probably going to sink. He probably is going to bat 245, maybe 250. That's okay. He's going to hit a ton of bombs, and he's going to drive in a ton of runs. You can't get that kind of value off the wire very easily. And here's the other thing. If you want to scoop him up, let's say you're batting your team that's not that great in batting average, well, then he doesn't hurt you that much.
Yeah.
But if you are a team that is in a batting average race, then trade him. He's still going to have value. That's the thing. You want to pick up a guy who's going to have value. That's why a guy like Colin Moran doesn't appeal to me quite as much, because his value could evaporate very quickly. Kyle Seager's is going to be there all the time. It always has been.
Good point. I agree with you.
Okay. How about Ty France? Ty France,
we talked about last week. I like Ty France a lot, and he can play second base also. And he's been When we talked about him last week, I was paying attention. I was paying attention about him, and he's been hitting home runs. This guy's been on a tear. I mean, he's been playing great. I mean, another Seattle Mariner. I'd like it.
Here's a little tip for everybody out there. If you're not sure if the power's for real, you can go to a website called www.fangraphs. Do you know fangraphs.com?
Yes, I do.
Fangraphs is great.
I use it.
Because you can find out their minor league track record, how high of a prospect they are. And of course, nobody's always right about these things. But you could go and find out, well, okay, does he tend to hit for power? Is this normal? And if you see that it's not, don't follow those numbers. But you can get underlying numbers in baseball, and that's that's the thing I love about it. Okay, now how about what do we think of JD Davis is on the IL? Sometimes you want to stash an injured guy. I'm not that high on him personally, but I'm just
never been a big fan. Even though he went to my alumni, I'm not a big fan of his.
Oh, he's Arizona State?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I'm not a huge fan. I feel he's like a streak hitter, but I'm not a huge fan. I have a question for you.
All
so
right, let's hear it.
Starting third baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Hayes, went down like 10 days ago, like second game or third game of the season. They brought this kid up named Philip Evans. He's hitting 382. He has 3 home runs. He's been killing the ball. So what happens to Evans when Hayes comes back? Do they keep playing Evans, or do they send him to the minors, or what do they do?
I think that if a guy's hitting like that, they're going to find a place for him. They'll just slide him over to second base. This is another reason to not love Colin Moran, because he doesn't have the track record. If you've got a young prospect who comes up and hits like this, he's going to stick in the lineup. There's not a chance that they.
I mean, he's been killing the ball, so he's my second pickup at third base. I mean, he's young, he's hungry, and he's just. I mean, the Pirates are starting to win because of this guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's batting 382. Now that's not likely to keep up. But listen, you never know. Guys have not 382, but he could be a 310 hitter, something like that, and be extremely productive. And what's the latest on Ke'Bryan Hayes? Do you know?
I believe like he's on the 10-day IR and he's going to come back any day. I'm not quite sure when, but he should be back pretty soon. I just don't know. I was asking you, like, what's your opinion on Evans staying in the majors or being sent back to the minors after Hayes comes back? I mean, I don't know what to do with him.
I think you pounce on Evans and you play him because he could be there all year. He could lose his value in 1 to 2 weeks. That can happen. Absolutely. But
it's good. It's good. It's a great pickup right now. The guy's been one of the hottest hitters in the league right now.
I mean, especially if you're playing in head-to-head leagues, why not? Yeah. You know, you get to reinvent your team almost every week, so you might as well. I already mentioned Candelario, but he is a big third base guy. And you talk about Brian Anderson a lot. So
I like Brian Anderson. He's had a disappointing week last week. He's barely hitting his weight. But long story short, I think he'll pick it up. I like Brian Anderson. Another guy I like is Travis Shaw. He could play third base, play first base for the Brewers. He's actually hitting he has a couple home runs, 10 RBIs. He's hitting like 281 right now. But he's always had a good bat, and if you need somebody he played first too. So I always say first base was kind of weak right now, but Travis Shaw is a guy. If you need a first baseman or third baseman, he'll play every day.
See, now this is why though I love Kyle Seager, because Kyle Seager is like the great version of Travis Shaw, because Travis Shaw right. could fall apart, but Kyle Seager won't. And that's where it makes the difference to go for it. But I will say this, Ke'Bryan Hayes. We're going to get to our trade targets pretty soon. Ke'Bryan Hayes would be a guy I would trade for. He was hot to begin with. He's a high prospect. He's injured right now. In fact, pick up Philip Evans and trade for Ke'Bryan Hayes. Then you got your problem solved. Whoever's going to play there, it's great. And the Pirates they're going to play these young guys. All right, it's time for shortstops. Now, Ross, I will let you start again because I'm just generous like that.
You know, my theme for shortstops is this. I'm basically looking at the category of stolen bases. There's nobody under like 60% that I think is going to hit 30 home runs or have 100 RBIs. So I'm going to concentrate on guys who I think will steal a lot of bases, get on base, get a lot of runs for you. And the first one is Miles Straw for the Houston Astros. I know he's only hitting 222, and you're saying, Ross, he's barely hitting. He already has 3 stolen bases, and he'll bring that up. He'll pick it up. He can play outfield too. They have him down at shortstop and outfield. So he's somebody that I love watching him play. It's so much fun to watch him play. But regardless of that, He's somebody that if you need stolen bases, a lot of people don't remember stolen bases when they draft. You should pick him up if you need that category.
I think it's a great pickup because you know what? When a guy steals bases, it almost doesn't matter what his average is. If he gets on, he's going to steal a base. He draws a walk, he could steal.
And then he scores a run. So there you go. You get a run and you get a stolen base. So it's
and
a good category to have.
if he starts hitting, then so much the better. But my number one shortstop pickup, I don't think this is really going to surprise anybody, but it is interesting to me that Wander Franco is only owned in 36% of leagues. Now, that number is probably dragged down by head-to-head leagues, because in head-to-head leagues, maybe it's not as worth it to wait on him for as long. But if
the problem with that is, I'll tell you what the problem with that is. I'll tell you what the problem is. So Wander Franco has the initials NA next to him, which means he's not available. He's not in the majors. He's in the minors. And a lot of leagues don't give you any leeway to hold them anywhere on your roster. Some leagues do. Like my league that you're in with me, we have the NA. So you can hold them on the NA roster and you won't lose a roster spot. Some people don't want to lose that roster spot. They want to keep that roster spot, for pitcher or another hitter. So you're giving up a roster spot that you're never going to see any output for, could be weeks. You don't know when this guy's going to be called up. You may not even be called up.
Well, look, that's true. That's true. But
so again, if you have that option on your league with the NA and you can put him in there, pick him up immediately. You're 100% right.
But at the same time, would you rather own, would you rather own a Donovan Solano or a guy like Wander Franco, who probably will be called up by June, and he's gonna kill the ball, and you can also trade him. Let's say you need a closer. You're not gonna get a closer for Donovan Solano no matter what he does. If you pick up Wander Franco and you let him sit on your bench for a while, I'm just talking like one spot, maybe two spots, then you've got somebody who you can trade for him. So it's really about maximizing the value of whichever player you're getting.
I agree with you. I can't disagree.
Well, I appreciate that.
You just don't argue. That's only good if you have a lot of roster spots.
It's true. League. And look, Bobby Witt Jr. is the same thing. I think Wander Franco's further along in his development, though. So, the chance of him coming through really well is great.
He's 20 years old. I mean, how
right.
How far can he be?
Hey, listen, players are getting called up much earlier.
I know. I was saying he's 20 years old. It's not like he's been in the minors for 30 years. He's been in the minors, I think, for a year and a half.
No, I'm just saying he's not as far along in his development as Wander Franco.
No, he can't even drink. I mean, that's how young he is.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
That's right. He is able to drive, as far as I know. Do we have anybody else at shortstop?
I love this guy. He reminds me of like a young Tim Dillard. I mean, you should watch our interview on Tim Dillard. It came out today on MFSN. It's actually unbelievable. I mean, the guy's the biggest personality in sports right now for me. He's unbelievable. I mean, you got to watch this guy, right, Dan?
He's a hilarious guy, and now he's broadcasting for the Brewers. I'm jealous.
It is, and he was in the minors for I think he was the majors for 1 year and the minors for 18 years, and we talk about everything. I mean, he's
like the real Crash Davis, except he's a little more like Nuke, because Crash Davis was far too serious for.
But it's a great interview. I had to plug that a little bit. I love this kid. He has like dyed blue hair. He plays for the Marlins. His first name is Jazz. Okay, if your first name is Jazz, you're going to get beaten up in school. There's no way you're going to walk around being named Jazz and not get beaten up. So his first name is Jazz. His second name is Chris Holm, and goes by Junior. So his dad is named Jazz Chris Holm Senior. So again, to be called Jazz, you better be good. So right. I know he's hitting. He's not hitting that high. He's hitting like 257, but this guy can steal bases. This guy is fast. He's faster than Dr. Dan Ratner. He can steal. He has power. This guy's I'm telling you, this guy's the real deal. He's up there for Rookie of the Year if he's eligible. But I mean, I like this kid a lot. I know he plays in a small market team, but if you have a roster room for him, pick him up. I'm telling you, by All-Star break, you'll be wishing you did. Trust me.
I think he's the guy who hit the home run off of DeGrom that ruined that.
He did. Your great memory. I was going to talk about that. I totally forgot. He hit the home run against DeGrom, and DeGrom has not won a game this year. He has an ERA like under 1, I think. he's like 0-1 or 0-2.
They're 0-2 in his games. It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. I mean, he's like the best pitcher in the National League, and he can't get a win. But Chris Holm, I love this kid. Take a look at him on YouTube. You'll laugh, you'll cry. Pick him up. It's a fun guy to pick up.
All right, now Casey's not here to correct your pronunciation. It's Chisholm.
Oh, Chisholm, thank you.
Go ahead and do that. Ross is trying his best. Leave him alone, guys.
I'm not wearing my readers. I don't have my glasses, so I'm just doing my best here. Thank you.
You're doing a great job. Okay, now listen, we're gonna take a break from the waiver wire. Just that. We're gonna talk about trade targets now. These could be guys who are underperforming, who you want to pounce on while you still have a chance, or they could be guys who are seemingly overperforming, but they're going to keep it up. So, Ross, you give us 2 of your top trade targets, and then I'll give you 2 of mine, and we'll just banter back and forth about this for a bit.
Okay, so this guy was dropped in one of my leagues, and I picked him up. Of course I did. I mean, he started the season. I think he blew a save, and he was just horrible, but there's no way he's not going to have 35, 40 saves. It's Liam Hendricks. Liam plays for your White Sox, and really slow start. I mean, now he's putting it together. He's coming in. He's shutting people out, but if you need a closer, people are down on him still. It's a good guy to pick up. As I said, I like him a lot. Another guy, I have a lot of people. Another guy that I love, he actually went to school with Jack Flattery, and he also went to school with Lucas Giolito, is Max Fried. Max Fried is like, his ERA, I believe, is like over 11, and he's 0-2. He hasn't won a game yet, but he's going to pick it up. He's going to start winning. He's a great pitcher, and I think with the Atlanta Braves, he'll at least have like 12 to 15 wins. So those 2 guys are I'm sure their owners want to get rid of them immediately. And if you can do it for like nothing and pick them up and get them on your team.
I totally agree, especially about Liam Hendricks. You can't get a closer like him so easily. He's one of these guys who really is going to be a dominant closer. I think he's going to be fine. So you snag him. Meanwhile, Flaherty obviously is a great player to get.
No, it's Fried, Max Fried.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying
he played with Flaherty, and he played with.
I see. Flaherty will get you
with Giolito in high school. They were all on the same team together.
All right. So listen, I'm looking at Trey Turner's numbers. Trey Turner has stolen 1 base. He's hitting 226. Maybe the owner is getting nervous. Maybe he's going to slump. Or Christian Yelich. Here's another guy. He's hitting 333. He's already stolen 2 bases. He's dinged up again. This guy could be elite. These are the guys that I think you want to pounce on.
Those are 2 good ones.
Jose Ramirez always starts slow, never finishes.
What's he hitting? I didn't even look at his.
He's hitting 237.
So I have another one. I said this beginning of the year.
Yep.
Anytime a player goes to the New York Mets, he can't hit, and it's Francisco Lindor.
Yep.
And he's. Do you know what he's hitting right now? Have you seen what he's hitting?
It's a $174, I think.
$170. God, you're good. He's $174, 0 home runs, 0.
Oh yeah,
0 home runs. He's not hitting the ball. I'm sure the owners are pulling their hair out right now. I didn't draft him either. I don't think you did either.
Well, I kept him in my keeper league. But
you kept in your keeper league. So basically, I'm sure the owners in a lot of leagues right now are scratching their heads and wondering, how do I get rid of this guy, and so I can get another shortstop that can hit. So Lindor could be a great trade target for you. He's going to start hitting. Trust me, he's too good.
Ozzie Albies is another. This guy, he's a great second base player.
People had him like number 1 as the best second baseman in the league. Like in many reports I read, he's hitting under 200. I mean,
listen, if I look distracted during this show, Ross, I'm making a deal for Ozzie Albies. I'm trying to. That's what's happening.
Another guy is also Cody Bellinger. He's been hurt a lot of the year, and he's hitting I think he's hitting like 200 before he got hurt. And he didn't have a great year last year. I'm sure owners, especially in keeper leagues, are getting kind of sick of him right now. So we all think he's going to bounce back this year. I wasn't on the bandwagon with you and with you and Vlad of the Bone, but you know what? If you can get him for like a decent outfielder, it's worth the deal.
Now, I'm just going to say something general for people out there. And by the way, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. And Ross or me or Casey will get back to you personally. If you're trying to figure out if a player is worth trading for, one of the key categories to look at, it's not in the category list. You got to Google the batting average on balls in play. It's called the BABIP.
BABIP.
The BABIP is amazing. Like Jose Abreu, he's hitting 209. But if we look at the BABIP, what that means is he putting good contact on the ball or not? Because he might be getting unlucky. That's a number in baseball that can actually tell you that. You don't get that in the other sports. It's one of the things I love about baseball.
No, I do too. And I use that. Actually, I used that in one of the players that I want to tell you about, who was drafted very high, Manny Machado. He was drafted very high, and he's hitting 258. But in the BABIP, he's over 300. So Manny Machado, again, if you can trade for him and not trade too much and get him, because I'm sure owners are like, when's this guy going to start hitting? What's going on with this guy? Because Trent Grisham's killing the ball in San Diego, and they got some really good hitters there. But man, Machado's done nothing. So
you've got these guys all over the place. I mean, Tim Anderson's injured.
Tim Anderson was back. Tim Anderson's on my list just because he's been hurt so long. He's the defending American League batting champion. I mean, this guy is the real deal. He's not your econ teacher anymore. He's the batting champion. And that being said, he comes off the IR tomorrow. So
that's right.
It's a great time to trade for him. If you can get Tim Anderson as your starting shortstop, you'll do great in batting average. And he hits 20 home runs, and he'll still 15, 20 bases. It's not bad.
Tim Anderson is all about supply and demand. So now listen, that's a little economics joke for you guys there. Now listen, we're going to go to the outfield. We'll get to more trade targets. We're going to do this every show because trading is a big part of the game. But I say, if you're seeing a guy that always performs well and he's underperforming, go scoop him up. There's no way he's going to keep that up. All right, let's move to outfield, Ross. Give me two of your top targets, 60% and below.
When this guy played for the Braves last year, he played for the Reds before that. Every year I always think, this guy's not for real.
I know who this is.
I know you do. This guy's not for real. Every year I always like, okay, this is gonna be the year when he fails. He won't be playing. He won't start. And every year he proves me wrong. It's Adam Duvall of the Florida Marlins. I mean, this guy has been hitting home runs the past week. He's been killing the ball. He's hitting, I know he's only hitting 267, but doesn't matter. He has 4 home runs, a bunch of RBIs. And he's been, I saw a shot he hit like a couple days ago, 450 feet. I mean, he's been killing the ball. But Adam Duvall, every year I say he's not going to do well, and he surprises me every year. It's unbelievable. Another guy that New York Met, I said there's not enough room from the start or play, is Brandon Nemo, and he sounds like a character from Star Wars, doesn't he?
Or from Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo, yeah, there you go. But Brandon Nemo's hitting 435. And he's been crushing the ball for the Mets. He's like one of the only hitters that's over 400 for the Mets. And he's starting for the Mets. I thought he would be I didn't think he'd be starting this year with that outfield and all their money they spent, but they have him playing and they can't sit him. He's hitting over 400.
And listen, when a guy is playing pretty often and he's their fourth outfielder, there's going to be injuries. Especially in a COVID year, there's going to be people out.
So again, he could be a streamer. And that means a streamer means a guy you pick up maybe for 10 days, 2 weeks until he gets cold again. But he's hot as heck right now. It's a great time to pick him up.
Definitely ride him. Now, my top pickup at outfield is somebody you scooped up. You beat me in the waiver wire.
Who was it?
Adam Eaton.
I like Adam. Yep. Tell why.
Well, Adam Eaton, he's great across the board. First of all, he's going to score a ton of runs, and that has always been true. The problem with Adam Eaton is health. But he's like a 15 homer, 15 steal guy. Great average. He's going to score a ton of runs, and he'll even chip in some RBIs.
And he plays for the White Sox. And that lineup, and we talked about this beginning of the season, the White Sox lineup, I think, is probably one of the best in the American League. I mean, he has some great protection on the bottom, on the top. It's unbelievable.
I mean, absolutely. Who are you going to throw a strike to? Adam Eaton's going to get a lot of great pitches in that lineup. And he's ranked 21st overall in Yahoo. And I'm telling you what, he could stay there. He could stay that high. So it was a great pickup. I should have bid more.
I don't remember how much I bid. Maybe $3.
I think it was $3. I bid $1. You gotta. It's funny.
Don't worry, he'll be dropped soon. Don't worry, I'll be dropped.
Well, we should just talk trade.
We could talk trade too. It sounds fun. I mean, I always like to have fun in there.
Here's another good one. This guy, his batting average is low, but he always has a good batting average. David Peralta. This guy's a 300 hitter. He's not going to bat 182.
No.
So I don't have room for him on my team. You make your choices. You're going to leave some value on the wire based on what value you need. And when we get to closers, we're going to talk about why I don't have room for people, because closers are always the bane of my existence.
Oh God, I always have bad. I mean, it's tough for closers.
It's the worst. But
We'll talk about it.
If you've got room, David Peralta is a great third or fourth outfielder to have, and you can plug him in all the time. I'm not worried about him in the slightest. I'd pick him up in a heartbeat. Meanwhile, Adam Duvall hitting 267. Count your blessings. That's really good. That guy's going to hit 226, but he's going to hit a ton of bombs. And he's a good split.
Every year, I'm telling you, every year I said, okay, I'm not going to draft him. I'm not going to pay attention to him. And now I'm paying attention to him. Somebody, he's unbelievable.
Now, there's also Alex Kirilloff. This is an interesting young guy. You only pick him up in the short term because he's coming up just to play for a bit, but he's one of the biggest prospects in the game. If he starts hitting, they're not going to demote him. That's what the fans are going to come out to see. You pick him up now, you only have to hold him for a couple of days. There's lots of value on the wire. I think he's a good guy to scoop up just to see. I'm not saying I think he's going to work out, but if he does, he's going to be killer on your team. Anybody else from the outfield that we need to mention?
I need to pick up a Detroit Tiger. I mean, I love watching this team play. They score runs. They give up. They have young pitchers. Boyd, I mean, they have some great young pitchers too. Boyd, Fulmar. I mean, they have some great guys. And I love how you pronounce his name. It's Akili Badu.
Yep. The long lost brother of Erica Badu. No,
Badu.
Spelled
so he's hitting 391, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. I mean, he's been killing the ball. He's available in a lot of leagues right now, under 50%. He's somebody. I think the Tigers, I don't know if they'll win. I don't know if they'll be 500, but they're going to score a lot of runs. They have a lot of young hitters that are hungry, and they've been killing the ball.
There's tons of value to get from these bad teams. And
yeah.
Tim Locastro is the last outfielder I'm going to mention. This guy steals a lot of bases. He's playing every day in Arizona. And a guy who steals bases in warm weather, I love it. He's just going to keep running. His muscles will stay loose. It's going to be great. And I picked him up. I wanted to get him and Eaton. You stole Eaton from me, but I at least got Locastro, so that's good. Okay, we're going to starting pitching, Ross.
Let's go.
You get us started. I'm just going to.
So I said Detroit, and I mentioned they're a young team, and if somebody wants to text us right now their starting lineup, I'll be impressed because I cannot name their starting lineup off memory. No way.
Maybe like 3 players.
I could do like Ellen Trammell, Lou Whitaker. I can do like the old Tigers. I can't.
Yeah. And I kind of mix.
My number one pickup. Listen, to this guy, Matthew Boyd. I mean, he's a strikeout artist. His ERA is 1.66 with 14 Ks and 2 wins. I mean, this guy's available in a lot of leagues. People don't value Tiger pitchers. He's been destroying hitters. So he's my number one pickup when it comes to pitchers right now. He's available in over 50% of the leagues, and he'll be a great pickup for you. Another guy that I loved, I was watching today, he was just destroying my Cincinnati Reds, and he used to be a Red, is Johnny Cueto. You picked him up. And in the 5th inning, he pointed to his muscle, and he pitched five innings and 2/3, and they took him out. He's pitching a shutout, like 2 hits he allowed. And I don't know how long the injury is going to be, but Johnny Cueto's been like he's been on a roll. His ERA was like 2.51. He had 14 strikeouts before the game. I mean, he's been on a roll, but I don't know how bad or serious his injury is. So be aware of that one. But I love Johnny Cueto this year. He's been pitching great.
Yeah, and look, a lat injury can be a tricky one, but hopefully he's going to come out just fine. At least it's not an elbow or a shoulder where he could just.
No, I agree. And again, he's been. I watched. He was rolling. I mean, he looked so good. I wish I had him on my team.
I think he's really worth having. And look, even if he is injured, stick him on your IL.
Yeah,
he could come back. He has the track record to do it. And guys are striking out so much that even a guy like Cueto, who never struck out that many guys, is probably going to strike out a batter in an inning anyway.
Yeah. So who do you like? Who's your 2 big pickups?
All right. Well, I mean, first of all, Matthew Boyd probably is at the top of my list. We talked about Jake Arrieta last week. I still really like him.
Today he lost 7-0 to the Brewers in Milwaukee, though.
He did, but right. You got to pay attention to that.
Milwaukee. Just remember
every pitcher. Listen, you got to remember this. Every pitcher you pitch is going to get bombed. I had Roy Halladay and Chris Carpenter back in the day. Oof. And they were dominant, and then they would have an ERA of 9 every once in a while, and I'd be like, "What happened?" Well, listen.
No, you're right. I'm just telling the folks, but I like Jake. I said he's back in his Cubs uniform. I think he'll have a good year.
Now, another guy that I really, really like, this is an offbeat pick for starting pitcher, but Michael Kopech. The White Sox I
White
just love
Sox.
in general. But this guy right now is their long reliever, and his numbers are going to be insane. And he's going to be in late games too, so he's going to win games.
He hasn't
So
gave up a run yet either. He looks great.
he has a .47 whip. He's got 11 strikeouts in 6 innings. So he's not your typical starter to pick up, but I think this is the kind of guy you want to have on your team. Meanwhile, listen, he could fall into any way. If Liam Hendricks continues to have problems, I would not be surprised to have Michael Kopech suddenly come in as a complete ace closer, or he could become an ace starting pitcher, or he's going to have his great value in middle relief. So he's a very unique guy to scoop up. One other guy that I really like is another guy that I have, Taijuan Walker. He was a high prospect, and he's pitching. He's pitching for the Mets. When hitters go to the Mets, we cringe. When pitchers go there, it's great.
Well, he's been looking great. And the last one I have, he's healthy this year. Last year he wasn't healthy. That's why he didn't look good. And he pitched for the Astros last couple years ago. Now he pitches for your Cincinnati Reds. His ERA, he has 2 wins. He's not given up a run the whole year, and he has like 11 Ks. Is Wade Miley. Wade's been looking great. I mean, he's unhittable. I mean, but he looks like Cy Young out there. I don't know how long he'll keep it up, but if you have room on your roster to pick him up, he's a guy I would for sure pick him up for his next start. And I would, Dan, you should go to Vegas and bet on the Cincinnati Reds to win that game. I'd be mortgage the house. They'll win.
Okay, I'm going to leave now. Can you close out the show? Okay.
What was that bet last year I told you with football? I said you should mortgage your house. And
I think it was something about the Cardinals.
No, it was Andy Dalton starting at night. I said,
oh, yes. It was against the Cardinals, though.
It was against the Cardinals.
We both remembered.
I said, go to Vegas and bet everything you have against Andy Dalton. And
listen, you've got to listen to Ross the Boss on these things. He knows what he's talking about. Okay, let's talk about the hellish closer position. I drafted heavily closers. And try. They bite me.
I agree. I wish I can help you.
I drafted Trevor Rosenthal.
Got hurt like the week of start, then the league start, like when opening day was, he was out.
I think he got injured because I drafted him. Like, I think I pressed the button and he was like, ow! I don't know what happened. That's fantasy baseball.
So I mean, I like Ian Kennedy, the ex-Kansas City Royal. I mean, pitches for Texas. I mean, he was solid when he was a closer in Kansas City. I don't love him, but if you need a closer and he's available in your league, he has the closer role. So you'll get saves. I don't know how consistent he'll be. I can't tell you. I mean, I have no idea, but he has 2 saves on the year. But again, don't pretend you have a dominant closer with Ian Kennedy.
No, well, and also there's a lot of arms there competing for it. You know who I like more than Ian Kennedy for this reason? You picked him up, Yimi Garcia. Garcia,
from Florida. I like him. He's great.
They don't have a great bullpen. So when they don't have a lot of other options and he's pitching well, and also he's underappreciated because he's on a team that doesn't win, don't worry about whether the team wins. A bad team is going to get 33 saves. A great team is going to get 40. That's not going to matter. You got to get the guy who's pitching well. You know, here's another guy that I like, and it's really annoying to me because my cousin Andrew got him, and he's an Oakland A, and I drafted the Oakland A pitcher, but Lou Trevino.
I was going to say, like, he sounds like a mobster, doesn't he? Like, hey, go see Lou Trevino and he'll give you the money and he'll tell you what to do. Lou Trevino.
That's right. you come in here, you mess up Trevor Rosenthal like that, we'll sick Lou Trevino on you.
Exactly. We'll sick Lou Trevino on you. That's and if you don't like that, we'll get somebody else to get you.
It really does sound
but
like
Lou
that.
Trevino, yeah. I mean, his ERA is like under 2. He's pitching great. I don't know when Rosenthal's coming. Do you know when your guy Rosenthal's coming back?
Well, he just had thoracic outlet surgery, which
I don't know what that is.
It's a bad procedure. You don't want to have it. He's out for basically like 12 weeks. I mean, he's out.
Okay, so he's gone till All-Star break. So Lou Trevino, yeah. I mean, he's somebody that's solid. He had great years with Oakland in the past. It's a good pickup.
I'll say one more. We talked about the guy on the Reds. Amir Garrett? He's going to lose that job if he hasn't already. But Lucas Sims and Sean Doolittle are waiting in the wings. You have Sean Doolittle. Somebody else has Lucas Sims. I don't know which one's going to get it. How's Sean Doolittle pitching?
He gave up a homer last night. He pitched today. He pitched an inning. He struck out 2. It's just they're not consistent. Somebody else I like on the Reds who's a starter and a reliever. He relieved a couple nights ago. He pitched like 4 innings, like in relief, and he got like the save because it was a 4-inning save. Is TJ Antoni from Texas? He went to Texas Christian. TJ should be in the starting 5. He's the best pitcher in the Red staff. I think he has not given up a run the whole year. He's been solid with strikeouts too. I mean, he's the real deal. If you have room on your roster, you want to pick up a guy that either would be a starter probably within the next few weeks or a long reliever, he's the guy you should go after.
Look, he's like a Michael Kopech.
He is, but he's National League. You're 100% right. And Sonny Gray's coming back. If Sonny Gray's available in your league, he hasn't pitched yet this year. He's been hurt. He's starting either Friday or Saturday. The Reds haven't decided yet, but Sonny Gray he was unbelievable last year. You remember that thing? You remember him last year, Dan?
Of course.
He was up for Cy Young until the very end.
He's been great for years. He had
I mean, Sonny Gray, it's a chance he could be available just because he hasn't pitched yet. We'll see what happens.
Okay, now I'm going to say one more, and then we're going to wrap on this unless you've got somebody
Sounds
else.
good.
I'll give you the final word. Jose Alvarado on the Philadelphia Phillies.
Phillies, yeah.
When you're speculating for saves, you want the guy who's pitching well, backing up a guy who's faltering. And Hector Neris is one of those guys. He's faltering. Grab Jose Alvarado. I know
his ERA is under 2. That's a great pickup, and I want to pick him up too. I may do that today.
We'll see. We'll see who's going to win this bid, but I have an extra $1 because I didn't get Adam Eaton. Yes. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be here same time next week. It's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Wednesdays. Waiver Wire. I will be here. Ross the Boss will be here. Vlad to the Bone. Casey Scheinville will be here. Hopefully, Joe Prano will be back. You never know who's coming. We could have anybody. But we know we're going to have Ross. So, Ross, thank you for this great show. You did a great job, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Oh, I forgot to say, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell.
Cliff, the #1 clean energy drink in the mind of Joe Rogan, comes the Flamin' Joe. Sugar-free, B vitamins, electrolytes, all them good drink things. An epic spicy pineapple fusion from out of this world, straight into your drink hole. Own it.